Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zeng here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Ranked, where I climb the online VGC 15 ladder and provide live commentary as I go. Sorry I was out for the last couple of days. I was spending Saturday and Sunday preparing for Massachusetts Regionals, which I attended this past weekend, and to all of you guys who came and said hello to me, thank you all so much. It really means a lot to meet fans and supporters in real life, and I had a pleasure talking to a lot of you. For those of you wondering, I finished 9th out of around 186 competitors at that tournament. Unfortunately, I bubbled out of the top 8 cuts, so my resistance wasn't strong enough to move on towards the top 8 elimination bracket, but 9th was still solid. I really wanted to win the entire thing, especially since I won 2 years ago, but I was pretty pleased with my performance. I ended up using this exact team, which is why I'm going to feature it for one last week here on Road to Rank, just because I want to see how it performs on the higher ladder, given that, last week it was on the kind of lower opponent spectrum. But we'll see how it plays out, and I'll be doing a team analysis of this team as well as uploading my games from regionals, since I managed to record most of those. So look forward to that. So from that performance, I won 10 more championship points, which puts me at, I believe, 408 championship points. So that basically definitely solidifies my invitation for the World Championships this summer, which is very exciting. So next big tournament I'll be preparing for is US Nationals, and then of course Worlds. So I'll be training hard for those over the summer in addition to uploading YouTube videos. But we're going to jump back onto the ladder right where we left off, currently sitting at a rating of 1687, so almost at the 1700s already with this team. I'm pretty excited. This team did a really fantastic job, I'd say, at the tournament. My 2 losses really were to me not playing as well as I really should have against world-class players, as we find a 1677 rated player from Japan to kick off today's episode. As always, if you enjoy Road to Rank, please show your support by leaving a like on the video. I'd really appreciate it. Opponent here has quite an interesting team of Arcanine, Heatran, Kangaskhan, Cresselia, Sylveon, and Thundurus T. So I think the more interesting picks here are definitely the the Arcanine. I always confuse those two names, and the Thundurus T. Otherwise, it looks like a relatively standard team, but those two kind of make it a bit more unique. It's also interesting to see my opponent running both a Heatran and a Arcanine in the same team, since a lot of the times they're considered for the same spot on teams, given that they're relatively bulky fire types that can disrupt your opponent. But honestly, Tyranitar Excadrill here can be a very solid lead, so much to the point where I'm actually tempted to just lead with it. I do like that a lot as a lead here, I think, because it puts on immense pressure. I kind of want Rotom Wash in the back here, and I think Salamence is my last one, though part of me wants to go with Aegislash just because of the matchup it has against Cresselia. And actually, I think Aegislash might be a bit better here. The one reason why I'd want Salamence or Amoonguss in this game is because it checks Kangaskhan very nicely, given that I can Intimidate, I can outspeed with Salamence, and with Amoonguss I can come in Rage Powder and get Rocky Helmet damage off. But I think Aegislash's damage output here is very important. Tyranitar, Excadrill, and Rotom Wash all check the fire types both really well, and once I can knock those two out, I think Aegislash performs relatively well. So I'm going to lock in, and we'll see how this plays out. I did make some changes from the team I featured on Road to Ranked, going into regionals, because I wanted to have some tech mashups. So my Rotom Wash is actually EV to outspeed Bisharps, which definitely came into handy since I ended up playing 2 Bisharps in the Swiss rounds. And then my Mega Salamence now is running Dragon Pulse as well. But looks like we're going to see Cresselia and Kangaskhan come out from my opponent against my Tyranitar and Excadrill. So pretty solid lead for my opponent here. Yeah, and I'm inclined to switch into Aegislash immediately here to start off the game. But the real question is what I want to do with the other Pokemon. Yeah, I really want to switch into Aegislash. I think obviously Kangaskhan here is probably going to want to Fake Out. I mean, quite honestly, I could also just go for a Rock Slide immediately, or the Superpower onto Kangaskhan, which is actually kind of tempting. Superpower won't knock it out, but it'll put it in enough where a Rock Slide probably can knock it out the following turn. So I could choose to lock myself into Rock Slide. I mean, who do you Fake Out here? I think you Fake Out the Tyranitar. So I actually, you know what? I'm going to go for the Superpower play and the Rock Slide play. Reason being, if the Kangaskhan here chooses not to go for the Fake Out, instead going for something like a Power Up Punch or a Low Kick, then I'll just get knocked out before anything else. If it fakes out, worst comes to worst, it breaks my Excadrill Sash, but he actually switches out, which is a very good play on his end. So let's see what comes in, because it's going to be taking a Superpower and a Rock Slide. That's going to be Heatran. It's not a good for my opponent here, as Rock Slide does connect with both my opponent's Pokemon. I'm not sure if Rock Slide plus Superpower is enough to knock out that Heatran, and that Heatran took it quite nicely, so I assume he'll be able to survive the Superpower as it hangs on with a sliver of HP. And now I'm guessing the Trick Room is going to come out from Cresselia, but let's see. Yep, Trick Room does come out. So nice play by my opponent's end. Really wish I could have picked up the knockout there onto Heatran, because knocking out Heatran would have been so good for me this game, but I'll take what I can get here. Still pretty decent, especially since he doesn't have a great way to knock out Tyranitar right now. So I actually can just go for another Superpower and protect my Excadrill, or switch into Rotom Wash. I'm actually leaning towards switching to Rotom Wash just because I can put on pressure against the Kangaskhan should it come in. Should it choose to switch in, excuse me. But Cresselia is actually going to be switching out into the Sylveon, so nice play by my opponent there. The question here is, does Heatran protect? Because if it doesn't, it's going to get knocked out, and I won't be taking too much damage, especially with the switching into Rotom Wash. But that was a nice switch into the Sylveon there. Yep, he does go for the Protect with Heatran, which is his best play probably. So he's going to avoid taking any damage, and you know, one play I could have made was going for the Superpower onto Heatran and the Iron Head onto the Sylveon slot, but I wasn't entirely sure whether Cresselia would stay in, because, you know, since he might have assumed my Extra Druid Sash, I thought maybe he would have wanted to double target it, but that switch out makes a lot of sense. So, let's see. That's one turn of Trick Room that's gone. Excuse me. So I think Aegislash is really important here, but I can't switch it in right now, because it's going to be taking a Heat Wave and a Hyper Voice. You know what? I'm actually going to aggressively target down this this Heatran, because once Heatran goes down, yeah, well, let's think. I could also protect here, but nope, once Heatran goes down, Aegislash does really nicely in this game, so he's just going to go for the Hyper Voice, not even going to protect with either of his Pokemon. I wonder how slow his Heatran is, because if Rotom is somehow faster under Trick Room, then I can outspeed, obviously, and just pick up the KO. Oh, but he goes for the Earth Power onto Tyranitar. There was nothing I could have really done for that slot, and I'm actually fine with that since Tyranitar isn't as important in this matchup at this point. So, it's going to fall down, but the Rotom's going to get that Thunderbolt, and that should knock out the Heatran, as it does. So that's 2 turns of Trick Room gone. He's got a Sylveon out, and based off the Hyper Voice damage, I think it's Choice Specs. Not entirely sure there. This Rotom isn't as bulky as most of my Rotoms are, but I assume so. So I can bring in Aegislash now, which actually plays out fantastically against all my opponent's Pokemon. So Kangaskhan comes in here, and obviously Kangaskhan puts on some pressure immediately here, but I'm going to go straight for the Flash Cannon and the Will-O-Wisp onto the Kangaskhan slot. I think the key to winning this game is probably conserving my Aegislash, so if my opponent's smart, maybe he'll go for a Sucker Punch, but the thing is, you don't really want to Sucker Punch an Aegislash when it has the potential to carry Weakness Policy. Now, one thing I didn't really mention with my Aegislash when I was playing with this team throughout the week is that I'm actually not running the Quiet 0 speed one that was more popular in VGC 2014. Instead, I'm actually modest with 31 speed IV, typically to outspeed things around that range. I like having the faster Aegislash, but he's going to Mega Evolve Kangaskhan, indicating to me he's either going for the Fake Out onto Rotom or the Sucker Punch. Maybe a Double Edge. Oh wow, he did go for the Sucker Punch. Interesting. So, maybe I should have King Shielded there instead. Well, let's see what he goes for here. And the Moonblast coming out. Is that targeting Aegislash? Yeah, I don't think that'll knock me out. Nope. Brings me down to 19 HP. And I do get the stance change off, obviously, so that's going to be able to knock out the Sylveon with Flash Cannon, but Life Orb is going to bring me down to very low HP. But Sylveon does fall down. I really maybe should have considered protecting Aegislash there or King Shielding, but I figured worst case scenario he would get a Sucker Punch off, but I'd be able to survive. And I missed the Will-O-Wisp. That's really unfortunate. Just because I really need the residual damage from Sandstorm and Burn picking up. So I'm not happy about that. But that happens. So Cresselia is going to come back in for my opponent now, and this is kind of difficult now for me. That was a great turn by my opponent for sure, and not good missing that Will-O-Wisp. So let's see, this last turn I'm going to... I wonder if he's going to predict me. I mean, he can just go for the safe Psychic onto Aegislash. So I kind of still want to burn the Kangaskhan. What would I do if I were my opponent here? I would Psychic Aegislash and Double Edge the Rotom probably. So there's not much I can really do to counteract that. So I'm just going to King Shield and Will-O-Wisp the Kangaskhan once again. And the thing is, if I can knock out the Kangaskhan... I mean, okay, it's going to be really difficult, I think, actually, to win this one, just off the fact that Aegislash took too much damage, and it was my key to beating Cresselia. He goes for the Ice Beam onto Aegislash. Yep, Will-O-Wisp does connect with Kangaskhan this time around, but I did lose out on 12.5% of free damage last turn. But you know what? It is what it is. He is going to go for that Double Edge into the Rotom Wash. I'm wondering if it's enough to take it out, given that it's burned. I hang on with 13 HP, but I think Sandstorm here will knock me out. But he takes a fair amount of damage from residual damage. But Sandstorm actually goes away, which... might be actually better for my opponent here. But okay, now this is actually kind of interesting because Kangaskhan outspeeds my Pokemon, obviously, so he can choose to Sucker Punch Aegislash, or he can choose to Double Edge my Rotom. But if he... I think you kind of have to Sucker Punch Aegislash here. So what I want to do is switch Aegislash out into my Excadrill. Do I want to protect with Rotom, or do I just want to Thunderbolt? That's the question. Or I could, yeah, I mean, I could just protect here. I'm actually leaning towards the protect play. Okay, if I switch an Excadrill and I protect, then worst case he gets an Ice Beam off against Aegislash, breaks my Focus Sash. But I don't outspeed him anymore, which is kind of an issue as well. You know what? I'm just going to go for the Thunderbolt onto the King. Let's see how this plays out. So the Sandstorm going away is also not too great for me, just because it means that Excadrill won't be able to outspeed Kangaskhan. He does go for the Sucker Punch, perfect, into the Aegislash slot. So I do get a free Thunderbolt off against his Kangaskhan. That's a lot of free damage. I get a critical hit, actually. That's nice. As he does get the Ice Beam off. Oh, targeting Rotom. Okay, so he probably doesn't carry Psychic then, which I presume is the reason why he's going for the Ice Beams instead. I wonder if that Kangaskhan's going to faint from Burn. Well, I think what I can do now is, because my Aegislash should outspeed his Cresselia, I can just King Shield and Rock Slide. Though I guess if he Trick Rooms, that could be really problematic. Oh, this is really coming down to the wire. I don't know if my opponent knows how fast my Aegislash is, that's the thing. But he did see that it was faster than Sylveon. So I'm going to go for the Rock Slide, and I'm going to go for the... I think it's still safer to King Shield here. So I'm going to do that. If anything, this just forces him to target my Excadrill with... I mean, he has to target Aegislash the next turn with Ice Beam. Oh, it looks like I'm still faster than Kangaskhan. Okay, so I actually could have just won the game here going for the Shadow Ball, but I was really fearing the potential Ice Beam play into the... Oh, wow. He went for the Ice Beam onto Aegislash. Okay, so I should be able to outspeed here and just win the game. Even if not, I can still just go for Iron Head and Shadow Ball. So this is really coming down to the wire, but I think Aegislash should be able to outspeed Cresselia unless it's a pretty speedy Cresselia. Though, actually, my Aegislash reaches 80 speed stat. I think his might be 81. Oh, but I get the flinch. Oh, that's so unfortunate. Yeah, I actually just realized because I don't have any speed EVs with Aegislash, I'm actually slower, but unfortunate for my opponent that I do get the flinch there, so Shadow Ball here actually picks up the knockout onto Cresselia. I mean, basically what the game would have come down to is he would have went, obviously, for the Ice Beam into Aegislash. And I think Ice Beam against my Excadrill is maybe like a 4-hit KO, so it would have been like whether he could have attacked through all my Iron Heads and not avoided any flinches, but I do get a flinch there to close up the game, so good game to my opponent. You know, unfortunate for him there. Did get somewhat fortunate, but I guess it makes up for the Will-O-Wisp miss earlier onto like Kangaskhan, because I could have conserved my Rotom Wash for a bit longer, but I did get a critical hit against Kangaskhan as well, and I mean, that was a really, really tight match. I feel like I don't have many great answers against Trick Room if I don't bring a Moongus, but basically getting that much damage onto Heatran was really essential, but my opponent made a really good play by damaging the Aegislash so much to the point where, you know, it would have been in KO range from any attack. So that was really smart on my opponent's end. As we're going to jump back onto the ladder, and that actually puts us over 1700, which is awesome. So we'll see if we can, you know, climb even higher with this team. It'd be really cool to end the week with like maybe 1750 plus, but this team has had a lot of success. Honestly, I really, really like it. But our second opponent of the day is going to be a 16-13 rated player from Japan. My opponent here is rocking a team of another Kangaskhan, but different supporting cast of Breloom, Zapdos, Heatran, Landorus T, and Gyarados. So a lot of different color coordination there on my opponent's Pokemon. Let's see. Once again, potential speed control in Zapdos' Tailwind and Gyarados' Thunder Wave, though I don't know if he's, you know, obviously running Thunder Wave. Breloom here with Spore is also kind of annoying, especially because, you know, Amoonguss normally you'd use to redirect those attacks away, such as Mach Punches or fighting type attacks from things like Conkeldurr, but I can't really do that given the grass immunity, so that's also a problem. Figuring out what to lead with here, as always, is probably the most important thing. I'm leaning towards Salamence and Rotom Wash with Tyranitar in the back. I do like that a lot, I think. Do I want Amoonguss here? Because Amoonguss does really well against Kang, Zapdos, Gyarados, and Landorus. But I want Excadrill here, mainly for the Heatran. I mean, Aegislash is also decent, but it gets outsped. I'm not leaning towards the Aegislash here, quite honestly. I think I'm going to go with Amoonguss here. Yeah. I think redirection is really important in this game, especially if I can knock out the Breloom. So I think what I'm going to try to do this first turn is If my opponent decides to lead with something like Breloom, you know, switch into Tyranitar to get the sand up so I can Hyper Voice knock it out the following turn, since Mega Salamence here with its Hyper Voices is really good, given how much damage it can do to Breloom, Kangaskhan, Landers, and Gyarados. You know, around 2 hit to 3 a KO for all of them, so should be a good match here. You know, my opponent's definitely got some cool picks here. I think Zapdos and Gyarados are two of the neater choices in terms of Pokemon. Gyarados is really, really good. I haven't really used it in VGC 2015, nor on Road to Ranked, but I do think it's a fantastic Pokemon, and often when you think of Intimidate users in VGC 2015, you know, Landorus T is basically the first thing that comes to mind, but Gyarados is definitely a very strong Intimidator. I don't know if my opponent's actually running a Mega Gyarados, because that would be pretty cool. Of course, World Champion Sejong Park did use Mega Gyarados on his winning team, but we're just going to see Kangaskhan and Breloom come out here, which is pretty good for me, given that I get the Intimidate off immediately. So, intimidating both of my opponent's physical type attackers is obviously a good start to the game. The question is, what do I want to do? I'm actually inclined to Mega Evolve, switch Rotom out into Tyranitar, or Amoonguss. That would be good, actually. Just because he's probably going to want to Spore that slot. So what I could do here is I could switch Rotom Wash into Tyranitar and protect Salamence so I can Hyper Voice the following turn. And just knock out the Breloom, because it obviously has Focus Sash, unless it's somehow Scarfed, which I guess could make sense as well. But let's see, is there anything my opponent can switch into? I guess a Zapdos switching wouldn't be too bad for my opponent either. But I think I'm just going to Mega Evolve, Protect, and switch into Amoonguss this first turn. Yeah. Mainly because I don't want Scarftar to get put to sleep, just because it does really well against Zapdos and Gyarados with its faster Rock Slides. So I'm going to bring in Amoonguss here, which obviously my opponent can't Spore. Now the main issue with the Amoonguss here is if he's Focus Sashed with the Breloom, then he can get a Spore off. Or if he's Scarfed, I guess he can also get a Spore off, assuming he's fast enough to outspeed Mega Salamences. But let's see, we're both going to Mega Evolve here. I mean, the obvious way for my opponent is just to fake out the Salamence and Spore the Rotom Wash slot. So, yep, he goes for the fake out. Oh, onto the Amoonguss slot instead. That's even better for me because I get free Rocky Helmet damage. Cool. I wonder if he Spored the Salamence slot. I mean, obviously it doesn't matter, but then it means I could just switch into Tyranitar and gone for the Hyper Voice play. Yeah, he did go for Spore into Salamence. Is he Scarfed then? You'd have to wonder. Well, with that, I'm just going to Hyper Voice here. And what do I want to do with the Amoonguss? I could Spore the Kangaskhan, but I could also just knock out the Breloom with a Giga Drain. And I'm actually leaning towards knocking out Breloom, though I guess it would mean a free switch into Heatran for my opponent, which is not good. Hyper Voice. So do I want to Spore Kangaskhan? You know what? I'm actually going to Spore Kangaskhan because a Breloom can't do very much to anything. Oh, he protects there. That's interesting. But that's fine with me because he has Fake Out and Protect, and he is Scarf Breloom. Wow. A lot of tricks from my opponent so far in this game. So that kind of threw my game plan off, but that also explains the turn 1 play that my opponent made as Spore goes into the Kangaskhan. So it does confirm the Scarf, and obviously I couldn't redirect it. So I'm going to Hyper Voice here. I think it's pretty clear that the Breloom is switching out, so I'm going to Spore that slot because he can't stay in. If he stays in, you know, that's fine. He's just losing pressure. Salamence, of course, does have the chance of waking up immediately here as well. I do suspect like Heatran will be coming in, so I'm probably going to want to switch out into Rotom Wash soon, but definitely a difficult position to be in right from the start. And yep, he is going to withdraw Breloom, so unless whatever is coming in as safety goggles, it's going to be put to sleep, and it looks like it is going to be that Heatran. So I was not expecting both Fake Out and Protect from that Kangaskhan, but I wonder what moves he opted not to use then. We do see Double Edge coming out here, probably targeting the Salamence slot. Yep. Doesn't do too much. Oh, he gets a crit there, doesn't he? Yeah. So he takes the recoil damage, but that crit really hurts. And he's not safety goggles Heatran at least, so I am able to put it to sleep. Which is nice. That's obviously nice for me. Let's see, this next turn I'm going to switch out into... Alright, I want to switch out into Rotom Wash and go for the Spore onto... I can pull... Actually, you know what? I'm going to pull the double switch here, I think. Yeah. This way, the Kangaskhan will actually be in KO range from a Rock Slide. And this way I get to put on more offensive pressure against the Heatran. Because if I can knock out Heatran, that's the main threat to Amoonguss on my opponent's team. Definitely an unfortunate critical hit there that last turn. And I didn't wake up either. So if I woke up, I actually could have just knocked out Kangaskhan. But, you know, I just got to play around the positioning. Obviously, like, That kind of luck is bound to happen. So we'll see what he goes for here. We do see the double edge. I would presume targeting the Rotom slot, and I actually want him to do a bit more damage here just because. Oh, he gets another crit. Are you kidding me? Come on, man. So it was mainly so he could do enough damage to put himself into Rock Slide KO range from recoil, though maybe if he just targeted the Tyranitar slot it would have been fine too, but that's really, really frustrating. Especially with the Scarf Breloom in the back, I don't fare very well against that, so definitely a frustrating start to this game so far. This next turn I'm going to go for the Hydro Pump onto the Heatran and the Rock Slide at this point. I'm just going to go for Rock Slide, try to pick up the KO onto Kangaskhan. He might go for a Protect. If that's the case, that's fine. Maybe the best play is actually for him to Protect Kangaskhan and switch Heatran out into something like Breloom. The Scarf Breloom is actually really problematic for me to deal with. If you didn't get the critical hit on it, I wouldn't be too worried since Bullet Seed probably wouldn't be... Salamence wouldn't be in Bullet Seed KO range, but because he got the crit there on both Rotom and Salamence, definitely difficult. And that's the thing. Intimidate's a really good ability, but the fact that you can attack through and do normal damage with critical hits is particularly frustrating. But that's something you have to play accordingly for. For example, I could have mitigated it by staying with the Moongus and going for the Rage Powder, since Heatran or Salamence was one of the more important Pokemon in this matchup. And we do see the Heatran switch out, which is a good play. Looks like Breloom's gonna come back in, so part of me really wishes I just predicted that. He does go for the Protect there with Kangaskhan, so nicely played by my opponent so far. Rock Slide here does connect, so I'm going to be able to probably do around 50% of damage to Breloom, even though Rock Slide and Hydro Pump aren't very effective, as I miss Hydro Pump too. That's just great. Not a good day so far, or not a good game so far in terms of me hitting attacks and whatnot, and just critical hits, but trying to figure out if I can still play around this, because I've already put myself in a very problematic position. I think the obvious play here is to just switch back out into a Moongus, but now I have no way to beat the Breloom, and I really, really wish I predicted the switch in a bit better there. I think he's just going to double edge the Rotom slot and Spore the Tyranitar slot. So I'm just going to switch into a Moongus, because if he locks himself into Spore, I can at least it gives me some breathing room, because I can get some free damage. If he locks himself into an offensive attack, at least a Moongus deals with Breloom pretty well. So at this point, I'm obviously playing for behind, but I'm just seeing what I can do here. He's not going to switch out, which is actually good news for me, but I think I really need to conserve this Rotom Wash as he goes for the Superpower. Okay, that's actually perfect for me because Amoongus... Wow, that did a lot of damage there. Breloom too strong. So, yeah, that's actually fine with me because he's going to be taking Rocky Helmet damage, and he's locked into Superpower, and he double edges into Rotom, which is perfect for me here. So that's actually really, really good news. It at least gives me a small window of opportunity to get back into this game. Let's see. I'm definitely Rage Powdering this next turn, I think. I presume Breloom's going to want to switch out. The question is, do you switch out into Heatran or your last Pokemon? Because if it's like Landorus, I can also just Hydro Pump that slot. So right now what I'm leaning towards is... Could also Protect with Rotom this turn, but I'd rather just, go for an attack. I think I would want to Hydro Pump the Breloom slot and Rage Powder here. Yeah, that's what I'm going to go for. If he stays in with both, he obviously gets knocked out with both. Kangaskhan's in KO range from either the Sand or the Double Edge Recoil. So if Breloom switches out into Heatran here, that'd be great. Really wish I connected with that Hydro Pump earlier because it would be in KO range at this point, but Hydro Pump with 80% accuracy, not exactly the highest, obviously. So the thing here is oh wow, he stays in with both. Oh, that was really stupid of me. I totally forgot that Superpower neglects the fact that it goes through Rage Powder. That was not a good play on my end. So that was that was actually a terrible blunder. Silly play on my end. And I'm not bulky enough to take that, so he's going to be able to get the Double Edge off. What I should have done was switched Rotom out into the Salamence and went for the Giga Drain onto Breloom. For some reason, I really just totally forgot the Grass Immunity, and I thought he might have wanted to switch out there. So that obviously works out really nicely for my opponent. And this is going to be, let's see, a tough one to come back from. I guess I'll bring in Tyranitar. I don't know if... I mean, I can probably take a Superpower at this point, I think. It's going to be his last Pokemon. What is that? Zapdos. Okay. So it's still possible to win this. Not a great chance, but still possible. I kind of want to switch... You know what? He's at -2. Can a -2 Superpower knock out Tyranitar? That's a question. I feel like it can. Maybe the Salamence switching would have been better. So I could switch out Tyranitar into Salamence and go for like a Spore onto Zapdos, I guess. But that's not the main thing. Right now it's just the Breloom that's the main issue. You know what? I'm just going to Rock Slide and Spore here. I'm going to go for it. He might want to switch out Breloom too. If he does fall for that, then that would actually be perfect for me. But I'm just trying to play with what I can work with right now. And that Salamence falling asleep was really bad as well. But man, Scarf Breloom here is actually putting quite a dent to my team. I feel like if it was Focus Sash, this game would be considerably better for me just because I have the Sand and Hyper Voice would have been able to knock it out. He does switch out Breloom, which is perfect for me here actually. Great. So it gives me a small window of opportunity here. Not the highest chances, but a small window. Rock Slide connects with both Pokemon. Okay, that's good. That's good. Let's see. That's good damage onto Zapdos. Proccing the Citrus Berry though. He does have Citrus Berry. Okay. Can I get the Spore off? He has Tailwind. Okay, that's fine. I do put it to sleep because he doesn't have safety goggles. Oh, this is really intense. So, I actually needed to at least make some play like that to keep myself in this one. Now what I'm going to want to do is switch the Amoonguss out as Sandstorm subsides. Okay, well that's fine. I don't really need Sandstorm damage. So I'm definitely going for Rock Slide here. I'm going to switch out into Salamence just because I need to try to wake up with Amoonguss. I also need to heal myself back with Regenerator, knowing that he has Breloom in the back. Breloom can't do much to offense-wise to Amoonguss, and he's going to be doing more damage to himself through Rocky Helmet if he locks himself into like Superpower, which he kind of needs to beat Tyranitar. So Heatran, I believe, has taken a turn of sleep. Zapdos has not yet, but obviously he outspeeds me with the Tailwind. He switches Zapdos out. Maybe I should have predicted that and gone for like a Giga into that slot. That would have been good, yeah. But not going to be the case here, so I'm going to switch back out into my Salamence. But that Tailwind was a really good play on my opponent's end. I kind of wish I mean, a flinch there would have been so helpful, but unfortunately not the case. So, Rock Slide connects with both Pokemon. Let's see, I don't think it's going to knock out Breloom, but it comes kind of close. Okay, well, let's see what we can do now. Wow, first episode back in a while and 2 really good games. I mean, obviously I think it's in my opponent's favor right now, so I'm just trying to figure out what I can even do. I mean, the clear move is going for a fighting type attack onto Tyranitar, so if I can switch into Amoonguss and he gets a 3-turn sleep and I wake up, I can win. But I guess he could choose to Superpower Salamence as well. So I'm wondering if he's predicting my Tyranitar to switch out here. But I don't think I can really risk it. Let's see. If I stay in and he Superpowers Tyranitar and Heatran wakes up, then I definitely lose. If I switch Tyranitar out into Amoonguss and he's Bullet Seed Salamence, I mean, I guess he locks himself into Bullet Seed. I guess it comes down ultimately actually to whether he gets a 3-turn sleep or not. No, you know what? I'm still going to play the safe way and switch into Amoonguss. And Hyper Voice. Yeah. I feel like my opponent might have predicted this and gone for the attack onto Salamence, but I'm not sure. And so part of me really don't want it to. Well, let's see. Oh, he does go for the Rock Tomb. Excellent play. But, well, that's a bit interesting now since he's locked into Rock Tomb, but I guess... Oh, he does stay asleep with Heatran one more turn. Wow, that's exactly what I needed. Oh my goodness, I think I can actually win this one now. Because what I do is I bring in Tyranitar, and because he's locked into Rock Tomb, I can protect with the Amoonguss, Rock Slide, and he can't Heat Wave to knock me out. And, you know, he has to switch out into Zapdos. Oh, I mean, I guess what can happen here is Heatran is definitely waking up. Yeah. So the thing is, if I Rock Slide here, I give him a free switch in into the Breloom once again, and then I just lose the game. So I can't really do that. So, because he's definitely waking up with the Heatran this turn. So I might actually want to lock myself into Crunch. Going for the Giga Drain and the Crunch here onto Heatran. Well, I don't actually no. Crunch won't be enough to knock out Zapdos, I don't think. So I'll Giga Drain Heatran and Crunch the Breloom. Yeah. I mean, this is obviously a risky play, but he has to withdraw the Breloom. Yeah, and he does do that. Ooh, this is intense. I don't think Crunch will knock out Zapdos. Yeah, it shouldn't. Yep, he does wake up. Oh, what? He went for the Heat Wave? Oh, wow. I mean, I guess that makes sense. Oh, he's life. Okay, so I don't really understand that play from my. I guess Rock Slide wouldn't have knocked out Zapdos, but if I just protect Rock Slided there, it would have been game over. Because then you would have knocked out both Heatran and Zapdos. So, you know, I was playing to my opponent's out because then I could crunch knock out the Heatran, and with Giga Drain and Sandstorm I could have knocked out Zapdos, and I needed to basically pick up 2 knockouts in one turn. But instead, it looks like it's going to be a loss here. So nicely played by my opponent. I mean, he really outplayed me those last couple of turns, going for the Rock Tomb onto Salamence. He's going to protect with Heatran here, which is a good play on his end. As, yeah, Crunch isn't going to do anything. I think Sandstorm's going to go... I mean, actually, at this point, it's literally game over, since all he has to do is switch in Breloom. It's going to be a good game. But, I mean, yeah, I guess I should have just protect Rock Slided there. I think I overthought that last turn maybe a bit too much, but... You know, just to clarify what I was thinking. So, the reason why I didn't protect with Amoonguss was I thought he had to protect with Heatran, because otherwise I would have just been able to get a Rock Slide off and knock his Heatran out. But I guess he wasn't sure how much... I mean, Rock Slide was doing less damage, so Heatran actually probably could have hung around. So, I think ultimately my play still there was just to protect and Rock Slide there. Because, you know, I don't think Zapdos actually would have been KO'd, and if Heatran wouldn't have been knocked out, then I actually could have just won the game through protect Rock Slide. So, really unfortunate there, but... One of the best matches I think I've had in a while, despite the poor luck in the beginning. I mean, Salamence and Rotom Wash took so much damage, and just 2 games for you guys today, but this is a 31-minute episode. I think that's a testament to how good these opponents are. So that's why I wanted to use this team for a week longer, because I knew that I'd get matched up with higher rated opponents. So Tyranitar's going to fall, and unfortunately we're going to lose the second game of today's episode, but against a very good opponent and a fantastic game at that. So Scarf Breloom really coming out for my opponent to play in today's episode. But 2 awesome games for you guys today. Really hope you enjoyed it. It is quite good to be back. Sorry I missed the last couple of days, but I'll be, you know, uploading consistently now on, and I'll also be uploading my regional games, which I was able to record, so keep your eyes open for that. But yeah, that's gonna be it for this episode, guys. As always, leave a like if you enjoyed it, and until then, I'll see you next time. Alright, peace.